Hey everybody, welcome to week number 1 of public speaking. In this first video I'm going to be talking about chapter 1, which is about speaking with confidence. Let me take a quick moment to say that the purpose of these video lectures is not to talk about the whole chapter. You have the chapter in front of you in the textbook or in the e-text, and you'll be responsible for the entire chapter when it comes to the quizzes and things like that. But for these brief videos, my purpose is to focus on one or two aspects of each chapter that I think are most important and that merit a little bit of deeper thinking and conversation. What I want to talk about today is stage fright. That's one of the big chunks of chapter 1. I want to talk about the causes of stage fright, and I want to talk about overcoming stage fright as well. One of the things that you should know about stage fright and speech anxiety in general right off the bat is that it is universal and that it is natural. Stage fright comes from the fight or flight syndrome, the fight or flight reflex. Basically, when you feel threatened, your body automatically produces adrenaline, and that it raises your heart rate, gets oxygen-rich blood to places where it's needed in order to facilitate a quick escape or a fight for your life. Our ancient ancestors, they lived in a world a little bit different from our world now. There were predators and things that could get eaten by saber-toothed tigers and whatever else they may encounter. So they knew to avoid certain situations in the wild. If they ever found themselves standing alone in an open space with no weapon, with a crowd full of strange-looking creatures staring straight at them, then they knew that they were about to get eaten, and they escaped that situation. The smart ones, anyway. Those who weren't so smart unfortunately got eaten, and they did not live to pass their genes on to us. So we have the fight or flight reflex today, thanks to them. The problem is, when it comes time to give a speech, all of those same aspects, all of those same characteristics of the situation are present. We're still standing by ourselves in an open place with no weapon, with a crowd full of strange-looking creatures staring right at us, our audience. And so even though intellectually we know, okay, it's just a speech, our body still thinks, oh no, saber-toothed tiger, I'm going to get eaten, I need to get out. And it triggers the fight or flight reflex. Problem is, you can't fight a speech, you can't run away from it. So it's not a very useful reflex in this modern context. The nice thing, though, is once you understand it, you can anticipate it, and you can even learn to harness it. So that extra energy that the adrenaline gives you, it doesn't have to make you all jittery and jumpy. You can harness it and just to actually make your speech that much more entertaining and make your delivery that much more energetic. Excuse me. And here's how to do it. First, anticipate it. Don't be ashamed by it whenever you feel afraid. Everyone experiences this. As I said, it's universal. Mark Twain said, there are two types of speakers, those who are nervous and those who are liars. If you know what to expect, you can overcome it. In addition to simply knowing what to expect, here are some 3 things you can do to help you become a better public speaker by overcoming your stage fright. Those 3 things are make your practice real, visualize your success, and don't expect perfection. The textbook gives you a couple of other pieces of advice as well. First of all, make practice real. A couple of things you can do to make your practice real are to practice out loud, practice in front of an audience, even if it's a make-believe audience, and practice a lot. The principle here is that you will present the way that you practice, and that's true in every area. You perform the way you practice. So our temptation is to practice in our heads. We don't want people who are passing by to think we're crazy, talking to no one. So our temptation is to do it to practice in our heads. However, when it comes time to actually present, you have to present out loud. You can't present in your head if there's an audience. So you need to practice out loud instead of in your head as well. So counterintuitive, but important to wrap your tongue around every single word you're going to say, because you're going to have to say them out loud using your tongue during the speech. So you need to program them in there. Secondly, audience. Whether you're going to be giving your speech to your webcam, your digital camera, or something, or whether it's in a live assembled audience, you want to practice the way you're going to present. So if it's giving your speech to a camera, have the camera in the room looking at you while you're practicing, even if it's not on. because you can trick yourself into thinking it's on. I tell my face-to-face students, if you don't want to assemble, your roommates or your family members because you would be like mortified at them hearing your half-baked, unfinished speech practice, you can still assemble your stuffed animals, your teddy bears, your pets, or whatever. I have even addressed myself to my toaster before, and it does something to me. In my brain, I start thinking there's an audience, even when it's inanimate. I would mess up and I'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, let me back up," and I just apologize to a toaster. If you tell yourself there's an audience, then there is one, so far as you're concerned, and your practice will become more real. Okay, so practice out loud, practice with an audience, even if it's a fake audience, and practice a lot is the third one. I don't want you to memorize every word of the speech, and we'll talk more about that in the next video, but I want you to be well prepared and familiar with the speech for the purpose of reducing stage fright. The more prepared you are, the less nervous you'll be. So we talked about making practice real. Next, I want to talk about visualizing success. I won't spend too much time here, but if you tell yourself you're going to do well, you're more likely to do well. If you tell yourself you'll do poorly, you're more likely to do poorly. This is not magic, it's just the psychological principle of the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you tell yourself you're going to do poorly, you're less likely to follow through on the steps to success, and therefore, sure enough, you were right, you're likely to do poorly. If you tell yourself, this is going to be great, I'm going to do well, I'm going to get this done, then you have motivated yourself to take the steps necessary to get it done, and then sure enough, you were right. You did do well when you look back. So visualize success, you'll do better. Finally, don't expect perfection. Even though you should expect yourself to succeed, because you will if you put in the effort, you don't have to expect perfection from yourself right away or ever. There's always going to be something you can do better. What you need to do is loud outside. What you need to do is your best, and then watch how much you improve every time you try. Okay, we talked about what stage fright is, where it comes from, and 3 suggestions for overcoming it: making practice real, visualizing success, and don't expect perfection. The 3 ways to make practice real are to practice out loud, practice with an audience, even if it's a fake audience, and practice a lot. One final note, I recognize that these videos are short, although maybe not as short as you would like. I also recognize that you are probably folding your clothes, doing your laundry, doing chores while you're watching these, and that's fine. In the future, I will probably be folding my own clothes while I'm doing these videos. I want to also point you to Mr. Gary Iman's videos. I've linked to them in the Blackboard weekly lessons. He has lectured on these same topics in the same chapters, and he has some interesting insights to share with you as well, so I invite you to watch his videos as well. Next, we'll be talking about some steps to presenting your first speech, but for now, I'm going to close. Happy speaking. Thanks.